Avinash Gorakshakar, Head of Research, Profitmart Securities, joins us this morning. Avinash, good morning. Lovely having you back here with us on News 9. Well, we saw a historic rise on Monday and then we saw a sudden crash yesterday, but things are looking better today. Is inflation and the expectation of RBI cutting rates driving the mood of the market this morning?
Yeah, I think good morning. I think inflation is definitely a big positive for us, and I think that is probably the reason the markets have opened in the positive. And I think clearly yesterday was a sell-off, considering the fact that day before the war ceasefire was like a big positive surprise, and most of the buying actually had come in from the retail side. So I think there was some correction expected. And I think today the action again has shifted to the defense companies. I think yesterday we saw a big bump up on stocks like Bharat Dynamics. Even today, we've been watching stocks like Garden Reach, which came out with a very stellar set of numbers, up by almost 13-14%. So I think the defense flavor continues to be in the market, plus larger companies like Bharti Hexacom, Bharti, these companies have put out much better than expected the market expected, financial numbers. So I think obviously these companies will be doing their management calls today. But I think the mood in the market is that wherever the company's performance is good, the growth outlook is pretty positive. I think
Okay.
the markets are betting on such companies, and defense I think is clearly the flavor. Despite last 2 to 3 days, the stocks are continuously rising. So I would say that here also there could be a pocket of opportunity for investors who want to look at these companies from a longer term perspective. But I think the mood is definitely better. A lot of good news coming from the global markets, like the US-China deal, going to happen very soon. Plus, I think clearly, trade deal with India also in the pipeline expected to be finalized very soon. So I think all said and done, this is definitely positive for the markets, and hopefully we have a good monsoon, Kartik. We can
Right.
definitely expect a better April to June quarter.
Absolutely. I want to draw your attention also to energy stocks. Reliance, ONGC, Coal India, massive bump up in trade this morning. Reliance is up about, it started higher, but right now it's up about 0.6%. ONGC is up about a percentage point. Coal India more than a percentage. What's driving the momentum in energy stocks this morning?
I think clearly, there has been an uptick in crude price, considering the fact that the global economy is now looking much better. And I think hopefully, it is quite obvious that if, there is some sort of comfort from the US markets, from China, I think definitely you're going to see a better kind of positioning for oil prices. Of course, higher crude prices would be temporarily be negative for oil marketing companies. But nevertheless, I think, companies like Reliance, markets are hopeful that their GRMs could improve, and I think the other businesses will also take off. My sense is that Reliance had come down to pretty lower levels, but I think markets are now looking for a much stronger April to June quarter and some sort of action at the Reliance AGM, which typically happens to be a very talked about event every year. So some expectation that maybe the retail business could be hyped up, or some big announcement which the management would make at this point of time.
All right. Let's also talk about auto stocks, and again mixed cues coming in from there. One, of course, is the 51% fall in profits on Tata Motors, and that seems to be driving the Tata Motors stock down almost 2% in early trade today. But also some sense of positive news coming by way of the India-UK FTA, which will make JLR's entry into India much smoother. So mixed cues on Tata Motors, but stock taking a 2% beating primarily on the basis of Q4 results, isn't it, Avinash?
Yeah, I think see numbers were more or less in line with expectations, but the management did not give any guidance. Most importantly, that was the reason the markets were a little apprehensive going forward. But I think overall, if you look at the India-UK deal, and plus the kind of clarity emerging in the US market on the tariffs issue, my sense is that at least after a couple of quarters, things would get back to normal. And again, markets are clearly also awaiting the split between the JLR and the domestic business, which I think
Right.
also should happen in the next, say, 1 or 2 quarters. So I think, markets will definitely keep these factors in mind. So I think this fall is nothing to worry. I think probably markets will be looking at a better performance in FY26.
All right. And also talk to us about Hero MotoCorp, because Hero MotoCorp, in fact, registered almost a 6.4% growth in profits. And despite that, the stock is down about 1.5% today. That seems a little counterintuitive, doesn't it, Avinash?
No, I think, see, my guess is that markets would be more excited, if they see double-digit numbers. But I think, nevertheless, this is not a bad performance, and I think you will see a much better trajectory, maybe from the April to June quarter. See, the interest rate cuts which have announced by RBI, plus with monsoons getting back to normal, I think Hero Motor would be one of the biggest beneficiaries if rural demand picks up in a big way. So I think, it's better to wait for maybe some more time. maybe the first half and the second half. The first half could possibly see a little bit of recovery, but the second half, if demand sustains, then I think you could see a good risk reward in Hero Motor.
I've idly thought that with inflation ebbing and the fact that loans are likely to get cheaper, there would be a better day for auto stocks, but that doesn't seem to be the case right now. Now, talk to me specifically, Avinash, about the IT sector. In fact, yesterday we saw for once the IT sector did not take the cues from NASDAQ, and even though NASDAQ was up and we had some of the blue chip NASDAQ Magnificent 7 stocks up as much as up to 7% or so, the IT sector was reeling under some pain, but things for the IT sector seem to have reversed today. Now, given whatever is happening in the world, given the proliferation of artificial intelligence and the fact that India's IT dominance in the world may not be as relevant going forward, what's your long-term view on IT stocks? Should investors hold on to them or look at other options now?
So I think, see, growth in the coming year, that is FY26, is going to be a lot challenging. And I think you have already seen that in the fourth quarter and the management commentary of most of these large companies like Wipro, TCS, Infosys. So I would say that, I would not immediately go and buy the large cap IT companies, but smaller players like KPIT, Persistent, these could be good pockets of opportunity, and that too at lower levels. My guess is that, even as of now, the US markets present a very strong opportunity for us, but I think there's yet not full clarity on the tariff side, on the order book, side, because large orders are yet in the pipeline, but nothing has materialized. So I think, FY26 is going to be challenging for the larger players. Maybe for the smaller IT run players, I think things could be a lot better. So, investors should actually look at the smaller companies where the alpha could be much better than maybe the large cap IT players.
All right. Smaller IT companies with a larger alpha. That's the message from Avinash Gorakshakar. Avinash, always a pleasure having you right here on News9. Thank you so much for your time.